All right, joining us now. She's back. We're home. As of course, the new head coach of the Ragin Cajuns. Of course, was spent 25 years on the Alabama staff, and the last 15 as an associate head coach. Of course, was a two-way star player at Louisiana. Was a basketball player as well as softball player. Played, of course, inducted into the Louisiana Hall of Fame in 2003. She's one of the best, and it's awesome to have her on the show for the first time. Alyson Habetz joining us here on In the Circle. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Just great and getting better, Eric. It's nice to be here. Thank you for doing this.
No problem. What's it been like being the head coach of your alma mater here so far?
It's been challenging. I feel like I'm drinking from a water hose still, but it's tasty water, I tell you that. It's just good to be back in Cajun country with people I was raised around and the people I was raised with, my family, and just to be a part of this atmosphere has been a tremendous blessing that I never knew that it would be.
I was gonna say, did you ever imagine this would even be possible at any point in your career?
Eric, it was really never even a consideration. Because really and truly coaching was not really in my plan. I mean, Murph asked me to go and help him start the program when he got to Alabama, and I was coming home to Louisiana to go to law school. Coaching was not on my list of things to do. Um, so I just thought I'd go help him out because he was good to me in college. And that was 25 years later. I just grew to have a passion for, college athletes and being able to make an impact on their lives. And I loved every minute of it. But when I retired, it was strictly to take care of my mom and to help her. So I thought my coaching days were over. Head coaching for sure. I just never really, I mean, I loved coaching with Murph. I never woke up and said, man, I can't wait to be a head coach. Like I never had a need to be in control or to make the decisions. I loved the relationship with the players. I loved coaching and instilling greatness in our athletes. But Murph could be the head coach. I was good with that. I was good paddling the boat. So yeah, when this came about, definitely nothing I ever anticipated or really even thought about.
Yeah, I remember when the day came that it was announced that you were stepping away from coaching to take care of your mom. That kind of hit home for me because my mom's disabled. So I take care of her at home and I've reduced my travel as a result. So I can relate to that. Was that once this job opened, how difficult was that? Because I know that was an important thing was to take care of your mom. Did your mom was the one that convinced you to say, "Hey, no, you take this job"?
Yeah, Eric, that's a great question because mom was definitely the priority. She was the main consideration. And that's why in the beginning it was a hard no. Like Jerry Glasgow said, you're going to take over the program. I said, no. I mean, there was no even consideration for it because I retired to take care of mom. But after a friend of mine called and said, look, the only kind of coaching is what you did at Alabama, and you were 6.5 hours away from home. It could be different if you're 20 minutes away from the ballpark and you surround yourself with a staff that can help you when you do need to be home with mom or whatever, or who can do things that, you know, that wasn't how it was at Alabama. So it was just opening up my eyes to kind of that possibility, and then having the conversation with mom. And, Eric, when I played here, this kind of hit home too. When I played here under Yvette Gerard, her mother, we called her Mama G, and she was a part of all of it. I mean, I have fond memories of Mama G and just the impact she made on our lives and everything she did, everything she sacrificed. She was just such a staple in our program. So just the thought of my mom being a part of our program just really opened up my eyes to the possibility that this actually might be a good thing for mom. And that's when I really started to consider it. And then having the conversation with mom, and she said, yeah, baby, I'll go to all your games as long as I'm okay. So, she can sit up in a suite. I mean, you all did a nice suite up there. And so she'll have her own little place to sit. And, but again, just having her a part of it and hopefully it being a positive for her was definitely the number one priority for me.
No, well said. Like I said, and she's doing okay. She's excited.
She is. She's excited. Every night I come home, because I'm still living with her, and every night I come home, she's like, what happened today? So I have to go through. And then when I'm talking to recruits, I'm usually in front of her and she's just listening. And, so it's just, she'll ask me about the recruit, and it's just been a lot of fun talking about recruits and talking about the game with her. And just because dad, I mean, he passed away 2 years ago and he was a coach at heart. I mean, the squeeze was his favorite play. I mean, he wants to talk softball all the time. So I feel his presence a lot, and in talking to mom too, it's just mom's like, just make sure they can all bunt." And I was like, "I know, mom, I know." That's what dad would say for sure. So it's been very refreshing.
It sounds like you and your mom have had this is more like a bonding experience together here as a
Yeah,
result.
it has been. It really has been. Now I don't get as much time with her as I was. Obviously, I was with her all the time before. But again, in the mornings, and then I come back at night, and I have a few days where I can just hang out with her. And yeah, it has been a kind of a new bonding relationship, and talking the game. Like, at Alabama, I really wasn't able to do that with her, or maybe over the phone a little bit. But as far as like the ins and outs of things and decisions being made, and then our staff, she calls our staff the Golden Girls. So they each have their own little name. So she's having fun with it. So I think it's something new for her, and I think it's definitely helping her as well, which is ultimately the goal for me too.
So once the decision's been made that you're taking this job, and then I'll never forget that press conference. I mean, had the Cajun fans there, alums. I mean, what was your phone like once it came out? Because I would imagine it exploded with maybe your teammates. What was that whirlwind like?
Unfortunately, Eric, I still haven't responded to all the text messages I received, but it was incredible. Like, just the outpouring of support and excitement. I mean, I had no idea people would be so excited about me being the head coach here. Obviously coming home, it's always been my end goal to be home in Louisiana. So having the support of the community and so many people reaching out, just their excitement, their love, their support, and willingness to do whatever to help, to have family, like my family. My dad was from a family of 9, so I have a lot of cousins and aunts and uncles. I mean, extended family at the press conference, and so much support at the press conference, and just above and beyond. Every day is just, I'm blessed. I mean, I just realized the impact that this program has an opportunity to make, and just the opportunity I have to be back home with family.
So you get the job. Now you got to think, okay, I got to build a staff. Just take us through this whirlwind now, because all of a sudden you're in it now. You're back in it. I got to build a staff. Got to get some players. I mean, you're right in the middle of it. So what was that? What has that been like in that transition? And what was the message you gave the players that you obviously inherited? What was the message to them when you first got to talk to them?
Well, actually, I first got to talk to, I mean, it was a Zoom call, really, was the first message. But then even after the Zoom call, there were still some, that still left, and, all that. So when the dust all settled, um, their what was gratifying for me, or I guess refreshing for me, was their appreciation for me taking the job. Like, the ones who stayed, I couldn't believe how grateful they were to me, and I was just really taken aback by that, out because I was so grateful to them for staying. I mean, to stay in the midst of all this transition, and I mean, they could have easily gotten on the portal. But it just shows how much they want to wear the jersey and how much it means to them. And that fired me up more than anything, really, was those athletes who decided to stay, because I wore the jersey, Eric. Like, I know what that means. So for me, it just took on a whole new level of just passion. Like, I started to remember those days and how that felt, and the tradition we had, right? And that we built with Yvette Girard. And to know that these athletes wanted to sustain that and wanted to be a part of that despite the uncertainty of it all, just that really lit a fire under me. So that motivated me in a big way. And I really value those athletes in a special way.
No, that's tremendous. And of course, you were a fantastic athlete at Louisiana, a two-sport star, a legitimate two-sport star. I didn't realize. I knew about your softball pedigree. I had no idea how good you were in basketball. You're still one of the 20 players in the history of the pro basketball program to have over 1,000 points in a career. You're ranked 12th all time, still in points, career points. Um, and you're still top 10 in free throw percentage shooting all time. I mean, just describe what kind of basketball player were you? Because you were somehow able to play both basketball and softball at the same time at the highest level.
Well, the old adage, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right? So I just shot a lot. Um, no, to be honest, baseball, Eric, was always my passion. Like, I had 4 older brothers and a dad who coached. So I grew up playing baseball. I mean, I was always the only girl on all boys team. And so really, I didn't play softball until I got to college. And I mean, I was really just walking around. I mean, I came to college to play basketball because that was my best sport in high school. And I loved basketball. But I was walking around campus one day and I saw this like looked like a miniature baseball field. I'm like, oh wow, what is that? You know, because I wanted to play for the Dodgers. I met Tommy Lasorda when I was 10 years old, and like I loved baseball. So it's like, what do they do here? Like a small baseball field. So realized it was fast pitch softball, which I really had never been exposed to that much. Um, Certainly not females playing. And they were having walk-on tryouts. So I asked our head basketball coach, Coach Searle, I said, hey, do you mind if I just try to walk on the softball team? I've never played. And he was like, sure, which was a gift because if he doesn't say sure, then I'm not here, right? So I go on walk on tryouts, and Yvette Gerard and Patrick Murphy are out there. That's my first time meeting them. Um, and they were like, what position do you play? Well, I pitched and played first in baseball. So I said first base. And so I get out there, he's like, get out there. And so I'm behind the bag, way behind the bag. And they're like, no, come in. I'm like, okay, bunt coverage, even with the bag. No, keep coming in. Like, okay, this grill right here, like I want my teeth to stay the way they are. Like, what are y'all doing? I mean, I had no idea. So that's how it all started for me. And I ended up making the team. And then a couple years later, we go to the World Series for the first time. And so yeah, just being allowed to play both sports was a tremendous blessing. I loved it. I mean, it was similar to baseball, although a lot more challenging, you know, hitting wise, because I was used to baseball. Um, but yeah, just being surrounded by that kind of culture and tradition with Yvette Gerard, Patrick Murphy. I mean, it was, such a blessing and such a gift to be able to just happen to come upon that. But being able to play basketball too I mean, I didn't have time to do much else, but I didn't want to do much else because I loved my time here doing that, without a doubt.
Incredible. I mean, have you thought about like how that tryout has really changed your life?
Yeah, well, at the press conference, actually, the head basketball coach, Coach Dwayne Searle, was at my press conference. And like I recognized him and thanked him in the sense of like, because there are not many basketball coaches who would do that. I was on a scholarship in basketball to let me just go try out for another sport. It's not like I was recruited in that just to go try out. Well, what if you get hurt, So yeah, I mean, his generosity, and I mean, he was definitely let me do what I wanted to do, not necessarily what he wanted to do. So yeah, I mean, that was a huge moment, and I'm very grateful for him allowing me to do that.
And then the seasons kind of conflict a little bit. Like, how were you able to like fit that into a schedule? I mean, that just kind of blows my mind away. Did you literally would go one night play basketball, the other night play softball, or didn't play softball until basketball? How did you all figure that out? And obviously, credit to the coaches on both sides to have, obviously, I'm assuming work that out.
Yeah, the coaches were great in allowing me to do both, but I would go from basketball to softball and vice versa. But I loved it. I mean, I just loved playing. I loved and softball was so challenging, and basketball was too, obviously. But it being kind of a new sport, I love that piece of it. But yeah, I mean, I remember one time we had a basketball game. We played, I think, Western Kentucky maybe at home. And then I had to fly out the next morning, or no, that night to go meet the team in Vegas. We were in a tournament there. So fly to Vegas, meet the team, play in a tournament there, and then fly from there. I think that's when I went to Western Kentucky. So I guess we were playing, I don't know, might have played Louisiana Tech at home, then flew to Western Kentucky to play basketball, and then flew home. So it was a lot of, yeah, just big ball, small ball, big ball, small ball, bounce and shoot and hit and throw. So it
That's
was fun. I
wow.
enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot.
Well, you adapted to the softball game very well. You were a four-time All-Region and All-American, third-team All-American in '94. How were you able to adapt so quickly to the game there?
Well, I mean, I had really great baseball coaches growing up. So as far as the fundamentals of the game, especially defensively, it was just the quickness of it and the different ball and all that was a little different. Hitting was obviously the main piece. Just understanding that there's a rise ball, and then I have to get to the top of the ball and figure that out. That was probably the most difficult piece. Um, but I loved competing, and I obviously it was a diamond sport, so I was familiar with that on some level, and I had a passion for that. But I loved the challenge and I loved competing, so it was a lot of fun. And then, the fan base here and the culture, and then going to the World Series in 1993 for the first time, like It was so amazing. Like the experience was tremendous.
Yeah, that was the first time ever for the program. '93. You mentioned the World Series. Yvette Gerard was the head coach, and I believe you played with Kyla Hollis. Was she on that team at that time? I guess at the time she was Kyla Hall, I believe,
Yeah.
who was obviously a Hall of Famer herself.
Yeah. Kyla Hall and I were played all 4 years together.
Wow.
She was a freshman, I was a freshman, and let me tell you, talk about intense, like,
Yeah.
you're almost scared playing behind Kyla because you didn't wanna make an error. She was a competitor, now that's extreme competitor. She was incredible. Yeah, a great competitor, a great teammate, just love playing with her.
What was it like playing for Coach Gerard?
Gerard was very demanding in the sense like the highest standard, you know? I just appreciated how much she gave to the program because you knew that she had started the program from ground up, and you just heard stories from the alum who would come back and tell those stories about a chicken wire fence and her mom making the first uniforms. And so just there was just an appreciation for what she had done for us to have the opportunity to do what we were doing, you know? So she gained immediate respect on that level. And just she was all about working hard and doing the little things right. And we hounding the little things over and over and just demanding excellence in everything. So I love playing for Gerard. She was a class act.
What piece of her did you apply to your coaching style?
I think it's more of like being classy, you know, and respectful in everything you do. It's like the Cajun culture, like having an attitude of gratitude, you know, being classy and being respectful, just doing things the right way. There's just a right way to do things. And she, you know, she implanted that in all of us that you play hard, you don't play dirty. You know, there you respect the game always. So taking care of your equipment, like all those little things, I value from her because she did those little things the right way and she demanded it out of her athletes, and I appreciate that.
After your collegiate career, you ended up playing a little pro baseball with Colorado Silver Bullets. Long Beach, what was that experience like after your collegiate career there? You got to play for a few seasons there.
Oh man, Eric, that was a dream come true because again, remember I wanted to play for the Dodgers. I met Tommy Lasorda when I was 10 years old. So, you know, playing professional baseball was a dream come true. So when this Coors Light thing came available, this Colorado Silver Bullets, I was actually still in college and I was finishing up my last season of basketball because the last 2 seasons, the coaches got together, and the fourth season I just played softball, and my fifth year I just played basketball. So I was able to split it up that way. But I'd heard about this team called the Colorado Silver Bullets, and they'd already had tryouts, and Phil Necro was the manager. So I called Tommy Lasorda, and he got me a tryout. So I went and tried out. It was in Conyers, Georgia. They did like a special tryout. I ended up making the 50-woman roster that went out to Fort Myers, Florida. So I was actually in spring training while I was finishing up my degree. So I was doing everything online. But I was able to make the first cut, the second cut, and then the final cut. And then we just barnstormed the country and played baseball. Like to play baseball again, and then to play in like major league stadiums like Fenway and, you know, Jacobs Field. And I mean, to pitch, yeah, I got to pitch in Fenway. I mean, who does that? I mean, I was a little girl who grew up like wanting to play professional baseball. And to have those moments was truly a dream come true, without a doubt.
How did you meet Tommy Lasorda?
Here at UL. Well, it was USL at the time. Mel Didier, okay, he was the head baseball coach here. He was also the athletic director, and he was a Dodger scout. So he had brought Tommy here, you know, to do like a clinic, and I'll never forget it. I was 10 years old. Tommy Lasorda was flying in, so I was the first one in line to get an autograph. Okay, well, he was late getting in, and he comes in, and so you know, all the media people were trying to get him to a live interview, and I was first in line asking for an autograph, and they kind of pushed him. So he was signing my glove, and they kind of pushed him, and he messed up his autograph. So then he just sat there, just to spite him, he just sat there and talked to me for 5 minutes. So he asked me questions and stuff, and he told me to write him. And, you know, of course, he gave me his address. Never thought he would respond. But I started writing him letters, and he responded to every letter I sent. I mean, I had like a whole wall full of letters from Tommy Lasorda. It was incredible. And then when I got in high school, I had to go to court to play baseball. There wasn't a softball team, but I mean, I wanted to play baseball anyway. It was my passion. And so he would call me and write me and encourage me. And then it just one thing led to another. I got to go out, spend some time with a friend, and ended up going to Dodger Stadium. He invited me on the field to take batting practice with the Dodgers. And then he invited me to spring training. And then, you know, the Silver Bullets. I I lived in LA, and took care of his little granddaughter. So I got to spend a lot of time with him and just learned so much. He was such a mentor for me. And then he came to USL to help raise money for the program when Tony Robichaux was here. Um, so again, I just learned so much from him about he's just passionate about people and making a difference in people's lives and having awareness. I mean, I'll never forget he came to do a clinic. Actually, I was at Alabama and he was coaching for the USA national team. And he said, if you ever need a fundraiser, raise money, just call me. So after they won the gold, I called him and said, okay, come to Alabama. So he comes down to Alabama. We're getting it's an evening with Tommy Lasorda. So we go into the banquet hall. Nobody was in there yet, but all the waiters were lined up against the wall, who are going to be serving the food. And so I'm a little anxious and nervous. So I'm like, come on, Uncle Tom, like we're going to go to the front, that's where you're going to sit. And so I'm walking pretty fast, and all of a sudden I don't feel his presence behind me. And he says, Alyson, like stern. So I turned around slowly, and he's over there against the wall with all the waiters. He said, come here. And so I walk over there. I'm like, yes, sir. He said, this is Jose. He's gonna be serving your meal tonight. You need to introduce yourself. He introduces himself to every single waiter along the wall. And then we go sit down at the front table, at the head table. So it's like little things like that, Eric. Like those are lessons that will stick with me for the rest of my life. Like it's awareness of everyone in the room and how they add value, and like everyone has value, and everyone needs to be valued and appreciated for what they do. So again, just being around him, I learned so much about people and how to recognize people and value people in your life.
That's incredible. That's an amazing story. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, whenever your career is done, you should write a book.
Yeah. I
Because
mean,
you got some journeys. Your journeys are incredible. I mean, you got to play. You mentioned the big league ballparks, and then you mentioned it. Patrick Murphy asked you to go with him to start the Alabama program. Why did you decide that was the right move for you? Because I'm sure you had options. You could have kept playing baseball, maybe. You could have pursued jobs elsewhere, maybe in basketball or baseball or softball, but you chose to help him follow the Alabama program. Why?
because it was Patrick Murphy and because of his investment in me as a college athlete, period. Because I'm telling you, Eric, I mean, Uncle Tom used to say, you're going to be a coach. And I was like, no, I'm going to be an attorney. I'd taken my LSAT and I was coming home back to Louisiana and I was going to go to law school. He called, and it was strictly because it was him, because that wasn't anything that I'd ever thought I would do. And I said, well, if he needs my help, then he gave a lot to me in college. So I owe him this, I'll go help him for a couple of years, and then I can come back home and go to law school. So that was it. And then after being there, it's like, wow, this is incredible. I mean, just when you started at a city park, and just putting up the putting up the portable fences in the outfield, spraying the outfield, the ant piles in the outfield. And I mean, it was definitely blue collar, but I loved the impact that I could make on college athletes. Them being away from home for the first time, growing so much, and just having the opportunity to be in their lives at that critical time in their life, was thrilling for me, and I really enjoyed it.
Did you ever imagine you'd be spending the next 25 years of your life, though, with him and coaching at Alabama?
Absolutely not. Absolutely. I mean, 25 years later, I wake up, I'm like, what? Wow. I mean, it's 25 years. But I loved it. I mean, and I had opportunities to do other things, but I mean, I loved having the opportunity to make an impact on the college athlete, and just the kids we were able to recruit, and just, obviously building that program and from ground up, and the way Murph did it. And just, if it wasn't Murph, would I've been there 25 years just to make an impact on college athletes? Probably not, because I mean, Murph did a lot for me, and we had the same values. It was all about person over athlete and making sure they're all valued and appreciated. Every role was important. So that was the critical piece, right? I mean, I would not have been there for that long, but for him. So, but yeah, it was incredible. I mean, that journey was truly a blessing in my life, and I'll cherish it for the rest of my life.
Yeah, certainly a tremendous history. Won a national title together, the first ever of the program, first ever in an SEC program, which turned into a documentary now. What was it like to be on a documentary like you were this past year?
That was special. That was really special to be able to tell a story about that kind of a season when it really wasn't about talent. It was just about a bunch of athletes just giving of themselves to each other and just celebrating each other's gifts. To win it all, it validates everything that you teach, right? I mean, we taught Murph taught everything that was countercultural. It was die to self. It wasn't about you. It was, can you have as much excitement for someone else's success as if it were your own? It's all about being a great teammate, really. And when that actually wins big, and then they make a documentary about it, like it just validates it. And those are the things that they're life lessons. I mean, you take that in life and you have fulfillment in life when you do that. So that was really special.
Did you reach out to him when you basically were in the decision process of taking this Louisiana job? Like, what was that conversation like when you told him, "Hey, I'm going back into coaching"?
I was like, Murph, tell me why I should not do this, because I don't want to be a head coach. I mean, really, do I want to do this? And he's like, well, I said, because again, I'd never been a head coach. So yeah, I definitely called him, asked for his advice, asked for his guidance. And, obviously he's done it for a long time, and you have to figure it out as you go along. I mean, there's not really just a template that says you have to do certain things exactly the right way. I guess the best advice is just be yourself, I mean, be authentic and be yourself, and the rest will take care of itself. And surround yourself with good people. And that's why the staff was huge for me, and who I hired, and hiring people who, again, have the same values in the sense of person over athlete, but also having gifts and talents that are different from mine, because I need those. There's some things that I'm not strong at that they're very strong at that I need, and other things that I might be stronger at, so that it complements each other. So that was a great piece of advice from Murph, without a doubt.
When you decided to step away, obviously retire, take care of your mom, I've had both Murph and Caleb Bro on the show. They both told me, Murph said that when right before you left, you said, "Hey, you should call Kayla. She would be the perfect person here." And Murph's like, "Oh, she would be interested." I'm like, "Oh, she would." And that Kayla said that you told her, you joked with her, like, "Hey, I'm just keeping this seat warm for you here throughout your career." Is that all true there? Take this. What was it about Caleb Bro you thought would be the perfect fit there
Oh,
for them?
gosh, she checks every box. I mean, she is, I tell you, with Caleb Bro, and I knew this because Caleb Bro was a leader when it wasn't fun to lead, right? So we won the Natty, and then, so of course the expectation the next year, you got to win it again. And we weren't as talented, and the leadership surrounding her maybe wasn't as strong, but Caleb Bro led with passion and with heart, and with, like, she instilled greatness in her teammates every day, despite us losing more than we ever had at that time. So again, it's easy to lead when it's 70 and sunny, right? But when it's dark and gloomy and you're losing, and you still like that resilient leader who wants to instill greatness in your teammates, like she showed me as an athlete how great of a leader she is. And then, watching her career, and then watching her flourish, at ESPN and all that, she just has just everything about her exudes leadership. She knows how to make decisions. She's all about the right things. Perfect. And she's fiery. She's passionate. Like that's what I consider my gift, is like, I love the athletes, and I'm fiery and passionate about their greatness. And she has that same fire and passion. So yeah, I mean, I'd spoken to her about it before. But I felt like when this happened, like I was recruiting her all over again. I'm like, come on, bro. Because I mean, seriously, Eric, imagine, like, she's in Oregon with
Yeah.
a family, and she's with her mom and dad, and her mom and dad are there, her whole family's there. So a part of me was like, oh man, is this right for her? But the competitive part of me is like, she needs to be here. Like, our kids need Caleb Bro. And then her husband David and little Dylan is, I mean, it's a perfect fit on every level. Just being a role model for our athletes too, as what a wife and a mother look like too, I think is critical. So she just brings so much to the table, and I'm so excited that she's there for those athletes, because she's gonna do some great things there. And I know Murph is glad she's there too.
No doubt. And I know you weren't surprised, but of course, once it was announced you got the job, he did some interviews talking about you. And of course, he had to mention the fact that Louisiana is scheduled to actually play at Alabama this upcoming season, as you would expect from him, promoting the game as he always does. And he said that's going to be a pretty special weekend for him, as I would assume that's going to be pretty unique for you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It was so ironic though, because that was scheduled before I was hired.
Right.
So that was like a divine intervention thing, because I mean, again, I was drinking from the fire hose. This was not part of my plan at all. So, when have the interviews. I'm the head coach, announced it, all that. There's a lot that took place. And then when I finally, I don't know, a week or so, sat down and looked at the schedule, I'm like, oh, wait, we're playing in Alabama? What the world? I didn't even know. So that was just kind of like, yeah, that's special, because being able to bring kind of like this new family, my people here to be a part of what I was blessed to be a part of at Alabama, and to share it with them, and just to play in that environment, at the Rhodes house, and to have them experience that too. It will be special without a doubt.
So now you've taken over the program, you bring in your staff. First, just tell us a little bit how the staff will work. How are you more, what's your style? Will you be more of a delegator? What roles will you have involvement? Just tell us, break us down a little bit how you and the staff will work together.
Yeah, I mean, Eric, I'm still navigating through all of that. But I mean, the only way I know how to coach really is what I learned at Alabama. So it'll be very similar in that regard. However, I knew hiring a pitching coach was a critical piece with Shelby Sinceri, and what a blessing she is. She's young enough to where she can relate to the athletes. And when I sat down with her, I mean, I'm just gonna be honest, like, she played at LSU, right? I coached at Alabama. And then she was at McNeese. So, you know, I was like, okay, surely there's another pitching coach, right? I'm really gonna hire somebody from LSU, and there's but anyway, when I sat down with her, we really didn't even talk pitching. To be honest, um, she talked about people. She talked about what she does, like the questionnaire she gives, because she thinks connection is the most important piece. And she talked about connection. She talked about her love for Jesus. She talked about so I got to know the person of Shelby Sinceri, and I was sold right off the bat. I mean, there's definitely no better hire for that. And I'm so blessed that she said yes, because she's good. She's really good. And I'm really excited that she's on our staff. Shelly Landry, I didn't know her that well. All I knew is that she had been here, and everyone I talked to said, you need to keep her, you need to keep her, you need to keep her. Well, I now know why I needed to keep her. She is just like nose to the ground, hard work, organized, going to get it done, a leader, and all about the right things. I just absolutely love her. I mean, and she's Cajun through and through. Like, she's from here. She played here. Her sister was a manager here. Her mom played volleyball here. Like, the roots here are just amazing. So just, yeah, what a great person to work with every day. And then Lacey Prejean, I wanted to bring someone in from the Alabama ties, right? Who kind of knew what we did there, had experienced going to the World Series, and had experienced that culture at Alabama, because that's the culture that I wanted to bring here. And so Lacey Prejean was the obvious choice there, in the sense that she had done that, and then she had also coached here, so she has the connection here, true Cajun as well. In fact, when she was at Alabama, she would say, "Kyo, man, they hit the ball hard, yeah, Kyo." And our players would look at me like, "Coach Allie, what did she just say?" So I kind of felt like I was her interpreter whenever she was at Alabama. But she's Cajun all the way. And then she had a little bit of head coaching experience too. So, hiring Lacey was the obvious choice for me as well. So again, they all bring different things to the table, but the values are all still the same, in the sense of valuing our athletes as people first. And it's gonna be fun. I mean, I've just actually gotten to know our athletes. This is our first week. So that's been really exciting. And that's been the most refreshing part of it all, is to actually be with our athletes now.
So that is incredible. You're right. You're getting to know the athletes, you're getting to know the area. When you walk on campus, do you have flashbacks? How is it different? Like, what's it been like to be on campus at a place you know very well?
Yeah, it's a lot different. And some places I go, I'm like, wait, wasn't there just a track here? And now there's this big building. And yeah, just kind of getting my bearings. And there's still that same swamp though that was there when I was there, with alligators in it. So that's kind of cool. Um, but yeah, a lot of reminiscing, and of kind of the way it used to be, and just kind of memories of that, special memories of all of that. And then just being on the field, I mean, the field's a little different. Obviously, the stadium and all that is a lot different, but they still have the red fence, and there's just still a lot there that still reminds me of the way it used to be. And it's a good reminder, because that's the tradition that I come from, and I want to reestablish that, and make that, make all the Cajuns proud of, Raging Cajun softball, because they should be.
Are you aware of how much support you have from the sport. Like there are so many people that were so excited that didn't even have ties to Louisiana, but were happy that you got the job and are rooting for you and that they love this story. Are you aware of that? Like it's been even like Jerry Glasgow obviously left for go to Texas Tech. He said, "I hope Alyson they get Alyson." He was excited. He said that you even like were the reason why he got the job in Louisiana. Like, does it blow your mind away that you have so many peers, so many fans that are rooting for you? Are you aware of that? Do you feel it?
I felt it when I went recruiting, like for the first time, like people coming up to me, and then the text messages, the ones I did get to, like I was really just I was humbled by it because I didn't think that many people cared, to be honest, you know. But so many people reached out. I mean, people who are even not in the game anymore, you know, and it was just humbling and so I guess gratifying, and it just really made me proud to be here, and I guess just appreciative that people really cared that much and cared that I was in the game and that I could make a difference in a positive way. And, you know, and then me coming home and actually being able to coach where I played. I knew that was special for me, but I didn't realize it was so special for so many other people too. And that again was very humbling and gratifying for me in a very special way.
What's your vision for the program and continuing the success and even raising the bar, if you will? What is the keys for that from your vision for this program?
Well, I think we the base of our program right now are those returners who just, you know, man, I just love them. They have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, like something to prove. Which, man, I love athletes like that, right? Because they're gritty and they're determined, and when they have something to prove, they're going to work harder. And I mean, we haven't even started practice yet, and I can hear them in the cages, and they're doing stuff on their own. And so then the newbies that I had to go out and recruit, I'm so grateful for them for saying yes to something that they weren't really sure about either. But watching them come together, they motivate each other, you know. And in our first meeting, I challenged our seniors because I had like a senior dinner first and kind of challenged them. I mean, there's 6 of them, no, 8 of them, I guess. 6 of them. Yeah, 6 of them, sorry. But 3 have been here for 4 years. So I've invested a lot, right? So like Kayla Falterman, Lainey Crater, and Maddie Hayden have been here for 4 years. So they've invested a lot. And, you know, I felt like our team needed to hear from them, right? So they got up and spoke, and it fired everybody up. I mean, to really know what's in their gut and what's in their belly and what they want, like it was exciting. So I think everyone's going to rally around the seniors and give them the magic carpet ride they deserve this year. And I think it's going to be special. I think they're hungry. I think they're determined. They're resilient. They're going to be gritty, and I think they're going to be really excited and they have something to prove, which is going to be fun to coach. And I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be. I think the fans are really going to enjoy what they see on the field this year.
You did some games on the broadcast last year, if I remember. You filled in for Coach Gerard on a
I
few of those
did.
broad. Correct. First of all, like what was that experience like being in the booth there up there for a broadcast?
I tell you, it gave me a whole new appreciation for media and what you guys do. Because let me tell you, I mean, I was up in the booth like, wait, how do you pronounce that kid's name? You know, and but it doesn't wait. It's like, oh well, it's the second inning. Well, okay, I'm still in this other play, like just to keep up. Talk about challenging, man. That was challenging, but I loved it because it was challenging. But I learned a lot and got a whole new appreciation for what you guys do, what the media does, what TV and all that. So that was fun, but definitely something different. I much prefer being on the field than in the box. I will say that.
Well, that's what Gerard's for there, right? Just have her
Yeah.
keep her in the booth there doing all the games. But I asked that because you were able to see some of the players that you got now. Does that help in that process as you get to learn these players and they get to learn you? I don't know if you were able to interact with them when you were doing those broadcasts, but does that help in that process from a learning standpoint of what you have?
Yeah, it helped a little bit. I didn't get to know them like on a personal level, like I want to get to know them. But I did from afar. And then there was like an alumni weekend where I came back and I was able to talk to the athletes about, you know, just try to motivate them and stuff like that. So they knew me and I knew them on some level, but not real personal. But it helped me just to kind of know who kind of played and what they did and that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, I think it helped bridge the gap a little bit because they knew that I was broadcasting and that was I was kind of back being a part of the program a little bit. So gaining maybe a little credibility.
obviously you're still learning your players, and they're learning your staff as well. What are some of the things in the fall? I'm not talking about just the on the field stuff, but building that chemistry, building that deal that you want to accomplish here in the first few months, just with this team as far as being on the same page. What are some of the activities that you might have planned for them from that standpoint to make that happen?
Yeah, the first thing on our list, actually, it's going to be next week, is a team retreat where we go. I mean, trust is number one, right? I mean, they have to trust each other and they have to earn that trust. It's not given. It takes some time to build. But, I mean, we have 10 returners and 14 newbies. So, I mean, I've never been a part of a program where I have 14 new players. So, and it's not just them getting to know each other, it's them getting to know us. So we're going to have to be vulnerable, the coaching staff, in the sense of being able to be honest and transparent and put ourselves out there, because that trust needs to be built. The quicker the trust is built, then the better our team's going to be and the chemistry is going to be. But I think valuing each other and appreciating each other's roles and those kind of things. So all the team retreat activities are going to be vital, I think, to how we move forward. So that's probably first and foremost on our list of things to do, is for everybody to come together and gain trust in each other and start to understand how to motivate each other, because that's the key, is what motivates each individual. I mean, when we first went through the first team meeting, I had the senior dinner, and they all went around and kind of told their story a little bit. I have one athlete who says, if you're crying or you're emotional, don't call me. And I had the other kid, if you're crying and you're emotional, call me. Like, she's the emotional piece. The other one, if you need logic, call me. Like, they're different, but you need all of those, right? I need logic sometimes, but then sometimes you just need a shoulder to cry on and somebody who has empathy. So it's just getting to know all their personalities so far has been so fun for me, because there's a lot of different personalities, and I just love them. I think they're gonna, and they appreciate each other. Like, one's right next to the other, and she looks at her, she said, we're exactly opposite, but I love you. I love like your personality. So again, it's just valuing and appreciating what everyone brings to the table, because that's what makes a team. And that's when the magic really happens.
That's incredible. And I know a lot of people are going to be excited to see you in the dugout, lamps apart there. Has it hit you yet? Is it gonna, that experience, whether it be in the fall ball or then in that first home game, regular season, you're going to be in that dugout wearing those colors again?
Oh man, Eric. Sometimes I start to think about it and I get like, whoo, my heart starts to pound and I start to race. I'm like, okay, I need to calm down. We hadn't had our first practice yet. We haven't even had our first individual. I've just been at weights. So, I'm just taking it one day at a time and, kind of building from there. But I'm super excited about it, and just the fans and the incredible atmosphere here and the people and the excitement. It's just refreshing, and it fires me up. I'm definitely motivated, and I'm just hopeful that, you know, that I'll meet the expectations of what the Raging Cages deserve, because that's something that I'm proud of, and I want to carry on that tradition and build on it.
Well, you got a lot of people that are going to be following you throughout this and are excited for you, Coach. And I'm one of them. I was super excited because I mean I remember when the job opened, everybody's like, man, I hope Coach, maybe Coach Habetz considers it. I've never seen anything like that, and so you've got a lot of support from a lot of places. So hey, listen, congratulations. I know I'm one of many that have congratulated you, but I'm super excited that you're there and back, and I look forward to talking to you throughout and talk about your team and everything as the season goes on. But congrats in the meantime. My best to your mom. I look forward to seeing how she handles those games. And is she going to stress out, or is she going to be like, she's got it figured it out?
Oh, she'll be stressing. She'll have her rosary beads, and she'll be like, she'll be bouncing and trying to, like she'll be nervous, no doubt. But
Uh,
Eric, I appreciate you. I really appreciate what you do for the sport of softball too, and all the information and all the interviews. I mean, you do a great job, and I'll be praying for your mom too. And kudos to you for what you're doing for her. You'll never regret that, man. I mean, like that has eternal rewards. And thank you for doing that and being a model for that too. But I'll keep you in my prayers, and your mom, and I hope she's doing well.
same here. Like I said, I feel like we have this bond over that. Like I said,
Yeah.
I could relate when I heard that when you first left there. So I feel like we were like connected, even though we hadn't talked until now. But this was a blast. We'll definitely talk again as the season goes on. But in the meantime, thanks for taking the time from the busy schedule to talk to us here on In the Circle on D1 Softball.
Thank you, Eric. It was my pleasure. I really appreciate it.